Anna said, this is going to be a good overview on Google My Business and really trying to drive more traffic to your website and for your business. Okay, so the first slide on, whoops, sorry, there's a little delay there. So the first slide we'll talk through is the agenda. So really what we're going to be covering is what is Google My Business, how it can help you, and really what is the local listing and what do you need to do to claim it and keep it updated. Okay, so what is Google My Business? So Google My Business is a free tool that Google provides for really small businesses to allow you to have access to several different Google properties. The Google properties that it includes is the Google local search listing, which most of you have probably seen anytime you do a Google search for any type of, let's say, local business or even a keyword, you'll see to the right, you see the Google Maps, and that's really what we call the Google local search listing. It also gives you access to Google Analytics, which is really a key tool that's free from Google that helps you understand your website traffic, as well as AdWords Express. And although I'll be giving some feedback on AdWords Express, it's very simplified AdWords platform, but not one that I would normally recommend you using. But we'll go ahead and talk about all three of these. So in the next slide, you'll see really why do you want to use Google Business? So again, as I mentioned, it's a free tool. It costs you absolutely nothing, and it's really designed for small businesses to help drive free Google search traffic to your local listing. It also can give you really helpful insights on your website traffic and also allow you to be able to easily publish your different websites if you have multiple company locations. So not very many of you probably do have multiple company locations, but let's say if you had, let's say, 2 different locations you wanted to be able to publicize on the web, that's a very simple way to do it. Okay. So just to do a quick overview to make sure everybody knows what we're talking about when we talk about the local listing. So this is a Google search page. And as you can see up at the very top, you can type in your search keyword. And then you can see the section down below is what we call PPC. And PPC stands for pay per click ads. And those are ads, as many of you may know, is that if you click on them, it will actually charge the person who is advertising every time they click on it or any ad. And then the section below that is going to be the local ads and the free local listings. And so you can see I said local ads because you can actually also advertise as part of your Google local listing, but it's not required. So the vast majority of those times, it will be a free local listing. If it is an ad, you'll see it'll have a little tiny word that says ad next to it. And then below the local listings, you'll see that there's going to always be your organic search traffic. And for those that may not be super familiar, the organic search traffic, those websites are those that are listed there because they rank well on Google search results, but they are not a paid position. And then generally at the bottom, you'll always also have PPC ads as well. So that's really kind of the basic search page. So you can kind of get a good idea of kind of what the different sections we're talking about. Really for this presentation, we're going to be focused, of course, on the local listings. Okay, so let's kind of dive into a Google local listing. So Google local listings or Google My Business used to be really called Google Places or Google Local. So you can often hear it referred to in both of those terms. The important point is that it's a search engine listing based upon your business location. So if your IP of your computer is in a certain location, it's going to give you data based on that IP of your computer or your mobile device. And what that local listing is going to do is it's going to give you website information, your phone location, your reviews, photos of your business that you're publishing, as well as directions. And so you can see the very top image up above is the local listing. And the one below is, let's say if you clicked on one of those local listings, I just picked one in my local area, and that's going to pop up their local listing page that's unique for them. And like we talked about a little bit before, it's going to give you your analytics data on how many visitors actually come to your local listing. And then also, of course, as I mentioned, you could run ads to get more prominent listings on the search result page as well. Okay, so what do you have to do to claim your listing? So for those of you that have already claimed your listing, this isn't really going to be relevant. But if you're not sure you claimed your listing, we'll talk about that too in a second. So first, have you claimed your listing? The best way to tell is do a search for your business. You can do in the Google search, you can do either your business name, or you can actually do like solar installer in your city, and it should pop up all the local listings for that area, and you can look for yours. This is just one, again, in an area that where we are, and you can see in the red box it says suggest and edit, own this business. If it says your local listing, own this business, that means you did not claim it. So that's really important, and you absolutely need to claim your listing. If you're not, you're really walking away from a lot of free traffic, because Google wants to give reward businesses that actually claim and manage their listings. So if yours isn't claimed, you might be listed, but you're never going to have a prominence of someone who's actually actively managing their page. Okay, so make sure that, check your business, make sure it doesn't have the own the business. If it does say that, of course, you need to claim it. So what do you need to do? The first thing you want to do is you want to click own this business. And what it's going to force you to do is you need to authorize that it's actually your site. Google does that in a couple different steps. One of them is the image below where you see, am I authorized to manage the business? You have to actually click the terms, and then once you click the terms, it'll actually go give you some additional verification. It will do either one of two options. It'll either give you the option to do a phone verification, or it will give you an option to do a postcard mailer. What I'm finding now, sometimes it will only give you the phone verification option, but the important point is that if you've never claimed your listing, it's going to default to whatever information is in that listing. So the tricky part is that if you go to claim it, and let's say it's a bad phone number, they're going to call the phone number on the listing. And so if you have no way to answer that phone, you're not going to be able to claim it via the phone listing. You're going to have to do the postcard mailer. So if the address isn't your address, that could be also a big problem, because they're going to send the postcard to the address listed on the listing. So let's say if that happens to be your situation, it's pretty rare, but if it is, you can do a couple different things. One of the things is you can actually try to go update that, because you can actually provide feedback on reviews that aren't claimed. You can try to change it that way, or you can just go out into the next step I'm going to talk about next and kind of pretend like you don't have a listing. Okay, so this is a page of what if you don't have a listing. So based upon the scenario I just talked about, or if you're actually not popping up at all when you go to do a search for your business name, this is what you would need to do. You go out to google.com/business. That's the Google My Business main homepage, and you want to actually do a brand new account. When you do, it's going to give you this image to the side, which it has you fill out all of your company information. Make sure you do that accurate. If you do a typo in your business name, or you do a typo in the address or the phone number, it's really critical. You want to make sure all of that is accurate. And then the other key thing is that you have to have a Google Gmail account to do it. So if you don't have a Gmail account or a Google email address, you're going to need to create one. And you can just do a quick search in Google and say Google, Gmail account, and you can sign up for one. It's free. There's no cost to you, and you can have it route, of course, to a main primary email address, but you actually do need to have that. Okay, so let's say you've claimed it, or you've been able to create a brand new account. Now, the first page that you're going to be able to do is you get to log into your Google My Business account. I didn't put the URL here, but I had it on the previous screen, which is the google.com/business. That would be the URL you go to actually manage once you have a page. So you log in, make sure you're using your Gmail account that you created the site in. You log in to the google.com/business, and you're going to come to this page. And this is really what they call like the main Google My Business page. So this is AEE Solar's page. So but generally they're all going to have the same information, but just know that this is AEE Solar specific pages. So you can kind of see, it's a little hard to see, but you can see published locations in red, and then you see all locations below. We happen to have two locations because we have our sales office in Sacramento and we have our warehouse. And so that's why you see two locations. For you, it may just be one. So what you need to do is either click either one of those pages, and it's going to take you to this page. It's going to take you to the multiple location page. Now, again, if you just have one location, it'll just show one. But for us, we have two. And so what you want to do is you pick the location that you want to manage. For us, we were going to pick the sales piece. the sales office, and so we click the managed location there in red, and then it's going to take you to this page. So this is your home page for Google My Business, and this is really where you manage everything that goes on with your local listing as well as some of the other tools we talked about. So what we're going to do is we're going to walk through all the different sections on this home page. So you can see the left navigation is really all the sections we're going to be talking through, and then you can see really on this main page, we'll talk about a couple key things. So let's go on to the next slide. So the next slide, what we're going to start with first is the information section. So you can see, click info. Now keep in mind, you can also get there by simply going into this edit section up here under where it says AEE Solar and you see the blue button to the right. You can get there either way, but just know that it gets you to the same spot. So we'll go on to the next page here, and that's what happens when you click the info button. So to the right, you can see what it has is your company name, your type, which is really important. So make sure the first thing you want to do is just go through and make sure all of this information is correct. And the one thing that I didn't mention is that Google will sometimes, on the previous page, you probably saw that yellow bar that said, review updates. Google will often sometimes do updates on your information, or sometimes, depending, it will allow in some cases, people to provide feedback, and it may make suggestions. And so see this updates for Google section, you want to make sure that before you accept that, you make sure that everything is correct on the page that you see right to the right here. So let's go through each of the fields. So the first one is your company name. So for us, it's AEE Solar Inc. You see the little pencil to the right, that's your edit button. And so if you wanted to update your business name, right, you would just click that edit and then enter in your information, and it won't update it immediately. It'll actually pause and kind of approve it, but generally it's going to update it for you. The next one that we want to talk about is the type of your business. This one's really critical because you want to make sure that that type is absolutely reflecting what you're doing. For most of you, it's going to be solar energy contractor. For us, we're a distributor, so of course we're going to be a supplier, but make sure that is appropriate for you. So because your listings will reflect based upon that type. The next one is make sure to fill in all of your appropriate information. So you see in this section below is our address. If you wanted to update that, you'd hit the little pencil icon. You want to make sure your hours are absolutely correct. Make sure that your hours reflect what you want customers to be able to call. So don't put, 12 hours if you're never going to be answering the phone 12 hours a day. Make sure it's accurate. Special hours, if you have, let's say any kind of special schedule, you'd fill that in. The phone number, of course, make sure that's your main business phone number. Same thing with your website below. And then the add photos. You can either add photos here or in another section, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. If you want to see what your actual listing looks, of course, you can view it on search or you can view it on maps. And then this is one section you want to be really careful with. Close or remove this listing. Whatever you do, be very cautious with that. If you close or remove it, you can actually permanently delete your listing by going through that section. So just make sure that no one has access to this that you wouldn't want to be able to maybe make a change that you can't undo. The advanced information, you may or may not use it, most likely not useful for most of you, but that's the store code and the labels. Okay, so we'll go on to the next section, and the next section is posts. And so this is actually a brand new, as you can see with the big blue new. And this is actually kind of a fun section in that what you do is, of course, click on that, and then it takes you to this page. And what this is this gives you an opportunity to actually advertise on your local listing for something that may be a current event. And so what you can see is I did one for AEE Solar. So what you do is you click on the Create Post, and to the left, you see that's the post section that you'd actually fill in with the type of post. It gives you up to 300 words. You can do a title and do an event, and then you can actually add buttons to it. So you can see I did it for demonstration purposes. I did our webinar. And so you can see if you actually click on this, it will actually give you some additional content. It'll give you some additional content, but it's just a neat, fun little way to kind of be able to advertise anything that you feel that is relevant and timely. This is a new feature, and so I can't represent if it will actually improve your listing or not, but anytime Google rolls out new functionality, my suggestion is always to take advantage of it because they're testing your algorithm and you can often get more traffic by leveraging new features. Okay, the next one is the photo section. You can see if you go to the photo section, you click on that and it will take us to our next page, which is here. And this is really where you manage all of your photos. It's the best place to do it. You saw on the couple previous screens ago that you could add photos there, but this is just a much easier section to do it. And you can see this big review updates. Just make sure, because I have experienced where users can add photos to your site. That was a couple years ago, but I have seen it on occasion. And so just make sure you go out there from time to time and make sure that those photos are ones that you want to make sure represent your business. The ones that you want to definitely do are the cover photo and the profile. The cover is, of course, what you're going to see when you log into your site and what customers see. So I don't know if you remember what the page I showed you in the beginning, but that was the cover photo. And the profile is the little tiny profile image that you see. And you can see up above here, it gives you the overview and then gives interior, exterior, at work, team, and identity. So the ones I would definitely suggest is do the interior and exterior at a minimum. And the cover and profile is really, you absolutely need to do that. Just make sure, take a few minutes, go do it with your cell phone and you'll be fine. And that you don't need to have professionally done photos. But make sure you do as many photos as you can because Google actually does give, it does reward folks who have more images. And as you'll tell as you go through kind of some of the insight data, it actually will show you competitive data to a small degree on how you stack up to your competition in the number of photos. And there's absolutely proven conversion data that you'll get more clicks if you have more images. And so it's really important that you leverage that because it's super easy to do and free. Okay, the next one is insights. And for the insights, gives you some really interesting information. So again, just click on insights, it'll take you to this page. So this is something that you really need to look at least once a month. And we'll talk about in some settings where you can actually have Google automatically send you some updates. But just what this shows, I just took a very basic snapshot, but you can look at data anywhere from in different time intervals, like a month or per quarter. But what it does is it gives you like 6 different areas to be able to look at data, and it's completely free to you. So the first one is you can see in blue is how customers search for your business. So you can see if it's direct by your business name or if they're actually doing a search for, let's say, solar installer and finding you that way. In the vast majority of cases, you'll probably find that the vast majority are by search. And so, which is what you see for our site, which is most of ours are actually by search discovery. Where customers view your business on Google, that's another report that you'll see, which is the second box to the right. And that will just give you kind of a nice view of listing, your Google listing on search versus listing on maps. So what that really shows you is that, you know, if you're getting, you know, where you're getting your traffic from. And then the customer actions, visit your website versus request directions versus whether they called you. And so it really shows what specific actions are customers doing when they look at your listing. So depending upon what for your site you want them to do, if you want them to call you in most cases or visit your site. And then it gives you phone call data as well as photo data. And so I highly recommend after you get your account set up or if it's been active for a while, go out and look at the section. And it's a very basic analytics setup. So if you're wanting a more sophisticated view, then obviously Google Analytics is the route to go. But Insights is just a great basic way to look at some data. Okay, the next one is I want to point out is that if you want to actually download the report, if you go back out, this is the main Google My Business homepage. And if you scroll down a little bit, you see this. It's hard to see in the screenshot, but it says download insights. And to the right of that is what they give you the option to download. So you can do discovery, photos, or phone calls. And all you have to do is click those get report buttons, and you can get those reports pretty much anytime you'd like. So just know that if you're trying to do screenshots of your reports, you don't need to. You can just download the report. Okay, next we'll talk about is reviews. And so in the review section, this is probably, in my opinion, one of the most important areas within Google My Business. As you all know, customers continually buy based on reviews and feedback from other social sources. And so reviews is critical to your business and absolutely something that you want to put some effort and time into. So in this area, what you do is, of course, click on the review section and it will take you to this page. And so it doesn't really show you much. It'll just show you, as you can see to the right, it'll show you all your reviews, and you can do all, and then it actually gives you the opportunity to reply to your customers or the folks who've done reviews, and also show you the ones you haven't replied to. So, you know, this is one area that you really just want to focus on, and make sure you're asking every single customer you do business with to do a Google review. It's going to make a tremendous amount of help for you in getting your local listings, and it can also have a biggest help with getting you more traffic to your site. So the only thing that a customer needs in order to do a Google review is a Google Gmail email account. It's a free thing for them. Most folks have it. If they don't, it just takes a couple minutes. The review literally can be 30 seconds. It's very quick. You pick the number of stars once you log in with your Gmail account, and you can make comments or you don't have to. So it's very fast. If you don't give customers an incentive, then you might want to consider that. It may be just something of, you know, maybe it's a quick, you know, $2 or $5 Starbucks card, but make sure that you are doing everything you can in your power to get reviews. And the nice thing about this is you can really manage your reviews. So if you get a negative review, it can be difficult to get those removed. But the best thing you can do is to reply to those reviews, because, you know, I'm sure you've seen it. If you see a bad review and then the company responds back to that, that just shows that they're managing their business and they're very responsive to their customers. And so that would be one of the key reasons why you'd want to be looking at this regularly and making sure you're replying to those, good and bad. And of course, I wouldn't be a marketer if I didn't say, you know, if make sure you go out to AE's Google local listing, and we'd love it if you gave us a review as well. Okay, the next one is messaging. So this has been out there a while. It's not something actually that I've used very much personally, but it's something that I would suggest if you manage your business with a cell phone, something that can do any kind of text messaging, I would ask, you know, consider doing this, because it's only going to give you more opportunity to engage with your customers and your prospects. So click on the messaging, and then it's going to give you here. So the first thing you have to do is you have to be able to have a mobile phone number to enter in here. And so what this is going to do is it's going to give you the opportunity to have essentially a chat on your Google Local. And so it's essentially a customer can text in the message, and then it'll pop up and it'll essentially send it to you. So it's one of those things that if you can do it, and you can respond in a very timely manner to your customers, you should absolutely take advantage of this, because the more you can get in touch with your prospect and your customers, the better off you'll be. But I wouldn't recommend it if you feel you can't be responsive to folks when they chat you, because that's the only thing with chat is that customers, when they chat, they expect immediate gratification. So if you can't meet up to that, then I would suggest not doing it. The next one is users. This is pretty simple. Click here on users, and then it takes you to the screen where you can actually manage your users. So here on this particular case, you can see it's just me, but you can add as many users as you like. Just know that with Google My Business, you can add as many people as you want. Just know that they can make any changes. So you would click that little person icon in the top right-hand corner that's in red, and then you could go ahead and add in additional users. Again, they have to have a Gmail account in order to have access to it. The next one is settings. So this is actually, again, click on settings and it will take you to this page. And the settings section is something you go out there once when you set up your account. You probably don't need to go back out there again. So pretty basic, like any settings section. It has all your email, your preferred email, whether you want updates. And the ones you'll see in blue are the ones that you have, are the ones you have an option. So Google does not give you the option to not receive important updates. That's a default checkbox. But it does give you the option on every other checkbox. Totally up to you on how much you want to hear from Google. My suggestion is that definitely customer reviews, because you want to be responsive when someone gives you a review. Photos, it's always nice to know that. The listing health, if there's, I've never experienced this personally, but if there is an issue with your site for whatever reason, Google will notify you, and so that's the listing health. And then same thing with insights. If you want to receive the little report that Google sends every month, then you can simply check that, as well as if you want information about product updates or post information. But totally up to you how much you want to get from Google. Okay, the next one, I kind of alluded to this in the very beginning, but AdWords Express is essentially a simplified version of Google AdWords. So how do you get to the AdWords Express section? So of course, this is the home page. You can see it in this big box where you can say get started and start doing AdWords Express, or you can click the create an ad. So if you click the create an ad, let me kind of talk through Google AdWords Express. So the one thing that I will say is it's a very simple way to do Google pay-per-click advertising. They've intentionally tried to make it as simple as possible so anybody could do Google pay-per-click advertising. It allows you to select targeted search keywords and only pay when someone clicks your ad, of course. But the problem with it is that because it is so simple, it actually isn't, in my opinion, a good tool. And I couldn't honestly give you advice to use it because you're going to overspend every single time. So why not use it? So the main reason is that you can't select very specific keywords. You can only choose a category. And you can't do negative keywords. And so for some of you that may be a little confusing, but with AdWords and pay-per-click, it's very important that you pick the right set of keywords. And when you can't really do that, Google has all the control over your account and you have very little. Another big important point is you can't track conversions from your ad campaigns. So if you really want to manage and make sure that what you're spending in your marketing for PPC campaigns is being effective and you can't really track that because you have no conversion data. And so those are two things that, if you just want to kind of just play with it, well, you can do that, but it's not a good tool if you're really wanting to manage your spend and make sure that your campaigns are effective. So if you are interested in doing Google AdWords, we will do some additional webinars, but absolutely, I would not advise you to use AdWords Express. The tool that you'd want to use is the full Google AdWords. Okay, let's talk about analytics. So Google Analytics is super important, and you can see that in the section on the image on the right, you can see if you scroll down on that home page, you can see a section that says Google Analytics. And what it shows you is just some basic data out of your Google Analytics account. So what you do is if you click that View Analytics, it'll actually take you out to your Analytics account if you have it linked. So why would you want a Google Analytics account? Well, if you want to manage your website, then you absolutely should use Google's free Google Analytics tool. It costs you nothing, and it's absolutely critical for you to understand where your traffic's coming from and what kind of traffic you're getting, what kind of keywords you're getting that traffic from. There's a lot of information out there. It can be overwhelming, but it's very important that you have that at your disposal. And like I said, we can talk about that in other webinars. But what you want to do is if you want to see it in your Google My Business, then what you have to do is you have to make sure, one, you have a Google Analytics account set up. If you don't, you would go to analytics.google.com and then you're going to link the accounts. It's pretty simple. You just need to make sure that you have the right Google Gmail account used for both sites, both Google My Business and both Google Analytics. If those don't match, you're going to have problems. So make sure you use the same email, same Gmail account, as well as make sure that you're referencing the same business. And so I didn't go through the exact steps, but if there's problems, Google actually has some great resource information on their site, which will walk you through it. Okay, so make sure if you don't have a Google Analytics account, make sure you set it up. And ideally, link it to your Google My Business account. Okay, so this is the last slide of the presentation, and this is really about resources. There's a lot of great, if you get stuck, a lot of great tools online from Google that walks you through step-by-step of what to do. So the websites I listed, of course, the Google My Business account, and then Google Analytics. So those are both ones that you'd want to make sure that you went out to and you signed up for. So with that, if you have any feedback on this webinar, we would love to hear it. As Hannah mentioned in the beginning, please complete your webinar survey. And then also, if you want to hear about other marketing webinars, be sure to make sure we give that feedback. Or whether if you have things like, if you have a lot of questions, always feel free to give us feedback on that webinar. It's on the survey. It's a great way to let us know what your feedback is. And then I wouldn't be a marketer if I didn't give a special offer. So for all AE customers who leave a positive Google review on our AE Solar Google local listing between now and November 13th, what I'll be doing is I'll be setting up a Q&A office hour session for anyone who did a Google review, and you can pretty much ask me whatever online marketing questions you have. So it doesn't have to be with Google. It could be on email. It could be on Webmaster Tools. It could be on anything, and I'll be happy to answer it. So that's just one way that it definitely helps us out if we have our customers give us Google reviews, and I would love to have the opportunity to help you out with being able to do some free office hours. So that is the presentation. So I'll pass it back over to Hannah for Q&A.